My favorite movie of all time is The Italian Job, directed by Felix Gary Gray. This is actually the 2003 remake of the 1969 version, and I like this remake a little bit better than the old version just because, it's more modern, and I really like the cast, and the special effects are really cool. And in this analysis, I'm just going to point out things about the space, about the shape, and probably touch on movement just a little bit also within this next scene. And the reason why I stopped it right here was because I want to point out the space between the helicopter and the Mini Coopers. If you don't know the story, the helicopter signifies the bad guy. The bad guys are actually inside driving the helicopter, and the good guys are driving those Mini Coopers. And the helicopter is closer to the camera. It takes up more space in the frame, although not much space, more space in the frame than the Mini Coopers. And so you can tell that it's kind of far away from the Mini Coopers, and this is the very beginning of this chase scene, one of the biggest chase scene in the entire movie. And as this scene pans out and goes on, you'll see that that space between the helicopters and the cars will end up getting smaller. I also want to point out the shape of the cars versus the helicopter. To me, these little cars look like little beetles scurrying in that shot in particular, scurrying away from this helicopter, which looks like this big black giant, I don't know, bumblebee beetle kind of thing. I think that all those cars and that helicopter, I think they all look like bugs of some sort, and I think the director probably did this for a reason. I think the shape is really important in making the audience feel like it is kind of like this chase between maybe not cars and a helicopter, maybe something else. And I think the director probably also does this with the colors that he picks for the cars and the helicopter to be. The cars are really fun, they're red, white, and blue, they're really patriotic, and then that helicopter is just looming and black and dark. And from, in the entire history of movies, normally villains will wear very dark colors, black, just to signify that they are the villain and there's no doubt about it. That's Lyle, our geek in the movie. And he's the one kind of setting up the traffic jam in this scene. He's literally controlling the traffic lights right now to help out Mark Wahlberg, who's in the blue Mini Cooper, to escape. And I want to stop it here again because I want to point out the space, again, between the helicopter and the car. Substantially different. Before, when we were looking kind of at a bird's eye view, the helicopter looked very far away. Now, we have this frontal view where we're in front of them, and you see their windshields are almost parallel, and it just should give the audience a subconscious sense of anxiety watching as the helicopter closes into the Mini Cooper. And as it starts up again, I just want to point out the movement, because I think a car chasing scene in a movie is really hard to shoot because it has to be fast paced, obviously, but you want to make sure that your audience can follow it, and you want to make sure it's not too jumpy. I know there are a lot of jump cuts in here, but you want to make sure it's not too choppy so that the audience can follow what's going on, and their eyes aren't gonna go crazy on them or anything. And here Mark Wahlberg, thinks he's safe, that the helicopter's not going to come underneath the bridge, but it does. And for one last time, I want to point out the space here. There is no space. There is literally no space between that helicopter and the Mini Cooper. And it is so close to it that it looks like it's about to eat it right up, which kind of going back to the bug thing. And just a fact about this actual scene when it was shot, that helicopter actually did fly underneath that bridge legitimately. There were no special effects or CGI that went into that because the director wanted us as the audience to feel that closeness and that tightness and that suffocation of that Mini Cooper. So that was legitimate. That helicopter really flew right underneath that bridge and got right up on that Mini Cooper. And this is a really intense scene now between Edward Norton, who's the villain in this case, and Mark Wahlberg. The helicopter is literally making making it impossible for that little Mini Cooper to pass him, and you think it's all over at this point. But it's Mark Wahlberg, he can do anything. And he gets away. This is, like I said, one of my favorite scenes in this entire movie, and I think it speaks really well to how the director can manipulate the minds of the audience. I just think it's really great.